All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back here for Pete's Power Rankings, week number 5. Yes, I'm ranking all 32 NFL teams 1 through 32. I watched 99% of all the games. I'm keeping tabs, taking notes. We're breaking everything down for you. Really good week of ball. Some of the top teams, not so great at performances. Those bottom teams eking their way back up. It's really getting interesting now. We're heading into the meat of the season. Week number 6 coming up. We're going to start things off with number 32 through 24. But before we get into that, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button down below. It really helps the channel out a lot. We are growing like crazy. All right, number 32, your worst teams. These teams are honestly just not that great. Okay, here you go. Number 32 through 24 here. I have the Commanders as the worst team in football. They can't protect. They don't play good defense. The Carson Wentz experiment is a bust. Ron Rivera's out as head coach. They really, really need a quarterback. This team has been very disappointing. I didn't think they would be very good this year, but honestly, they're just abysmal. I have them down 2 spots. Texans, on the other hand, 31, decent team. They don't have a win yet, but they're a scrappy squad. I like them. Panthers, another dumpster fire. I think Matt Rule is going to not make it the full 18 weeks. He's going to get fired. Baker Mayfield, the worst rated quarterback in football. He's just atrocious. Steelers at 29. They drop a lot. They could move up on this list. Kenny Pickett, it seems like, is going to finally start for this team, and Mike Tomlin. Thank the Lord. They really, really need it. The offense was a dud with Mitch Trubisky. Good second half, but they could not protect the lead against the Jets. They're now 0-7 without TJ Watt playing. Very concerning, but they could make a big jump if this offense takes a next step with the rookie Kenny Pickett. Chicago Bears 28, abysmal. They got the Vikings this week. I'm sure they'll beat the Vikings because that's how the NFL works, and it's just like that is. But this offense sucks. Justin Fields cannot throw the football. They can't block. It's a bad offense. They scored 12 points against the Giants. Not a good team whatsoever. They can kind of run the football. They can kind of play defense, but just not very good. Patriots at 27. They're okay. They had a third-string quarterback this week. They really played the Packers tough. Took them to the very last second of overtime, but still 1-3 under Bill Belichick for back-to-back years. Not great team. I don't think there's a lot of talent on this team is the problem. I think Bill's going out with kind of a whimper and not a grand entrance as a coach in this league. Patriots at 27. Cardinals 26. They won, but they beat the Panthers. I don't know if Cliff's going to make it through the season. I can guarantee you Cliff and Kyler are going to get into a physical altercation before the end of the season. There's nothing but bickering. There's no cohesion. They're 2-2, though, tied for the tops in the NFC West somehow with everybody else. But I have them at 26. I don't think they're a very good team. Jets at 25. Solid performance for the Jets. Zach Wilson's back. They're 2-2. Could they win some games with Zach Wilson? I really like what I saw from him his first game back. The defense did its job. They forced 3 turnovers of Kenny Pickett. So I like the Jets. The Jets are just kind of a team that aren't terrible. They're not going to be very good, but they're not terrible. Number 24, the Indianapolis Colts. Complete disaster of a season for them. I got them dropping 6 spots. Just a complete letdown. They were getting dominated for 3 quarters against the Titans at home. They made it close, but Matt Ryan is washed. His career is over. I think Frank Reich's out of town. They missed their window. They could never just get this quarterback right with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck always banged up. It's the biggest what if in NFL history. If he was healthy, they probably could have got themselves to a Super Bowl, maybe won a Super Bowl. He was that good of a quarterback, and he had finally had the protection, the run game, and the defense to go with him. So it's one of the saddest things you think about in the NFL. Colts at 24. I don't see how they find a way into the playoffs this season. Okay, 23 through 15, kind of your middle tier teams. I don't think any of these teams are terrible, but they're really not that great either. A lot of these teams, 23 through 16, 15, kind of feel all the same here. But Saints at 23, they were super undermanned against the Vikings. They played them well. They just can't put it together. I don't know if Dennis Allen is the right guy at head coach. They just struggle to move the ball sometimes. One of the worst offenses in football. But the defense is pretty good. They have the weapons. They have the potential. Chris Olave is a really nice rookie wide receiver. But hopefully they get Winston back. They need Kamara healthy. They need Michael Thomas healthy. So I got him at 23, dropping a spot. 22, the Broncos, dropping them 7. Abysmal team. Nathaniel Hackett is not a good head coach. He's a bad play caller. Javonte Williams out for the season. They lost to the Raiders. He was completely outclassed coaching-wise. They're going to have to let Russ cook now. I do like the receivers. Russ looked a lot better offensively. Melvin Gordon's your running back, though, and he's a fumble machine. Maybe Mike Boone's your guy. It's just really going to be tough for the Broncos to dig themselves out of this situation. They are still just 2-2, but man, I'm really off the Broncos bandwagon right now. 21, Las Vegas Raiders. Strong performance from the Raiders. I got them up 12 spots. I had them maybe a little too low. I was being a little hyperbolic. They got their first win of the season. Great performance from Josh Jacobs. Dominated the running game. Defense still a concern. Derek Carr not playing as good as he did last year. Still got Devontae Adams. I like Hollins as an emergence to add to Hunter Renfrow. When he comes back, you can put Renfrow back in the slot. Where's Darren Waller, though? I don't see any of Darren Waller week to week. This Raiders team needs to do a better job getting the ball to their playmakers. They got to figure out ways to stop people. But, they could find their way back up. A 1-3 start is less than ideal, but they got a much-needed win to avoid the 0-4 start in the end of the season. So, Raiders could slide themselves up here, maybe find themselves. I think this is probably about a 9-win team and out of the playoffs. But for now, 21. Seahawks at 20, up 9. Great performance from Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Now, they played the Lions, one of the worst defenses in football. They hung 48 on them. They did score on defense, but still, absolutely fantastic performance from the Seahawks in the offense. 2-2. A lot of surprising things. They played Atlanta pretty tough. They probably should have won. They could easily be 3-1. I like what they're doing. They're well coached. Pete seems to have something humming. Geno Smith, the best completion percentage through 4 games in NFL history. He's actually playing pretty well. Rashad Penny, great game running the football. So I like this Seahawks team. I'm going to put them at 20 here. They're not a complete dumpster fire. They're probably going to be a tough out most weeks for a lot of teams. Okay, number 19, the Detroit Lions. I like the Lions a lot. They're like the 4th or 5th team in NFL history to have the passing touchdown leader and the rushing touchdown leader on the same team through 4 weeks. And they're still 1-3. So that tells you what the defense has been doing. They blew that game against the Vikings. The schedule hasn't been great, and they were so banged up against the Seahawks. But wins matter in this league. You're now 1-3. I really like this Lions team. Nobody's going to want to play them. This offense is the best offense in football. It's absolutely crazy. I think they're going to find a way to win some of these games. But for now, I got to hammer them for losing to the Seahawks the way they did. They should have won that game as undermanned as they are. They're a great offense. The defense has to figure this out. They really can't be much worse than they already are. So 19 for the Lions. Tennessee at 18, up 5. Strong performance on the road against a division rival Colts. I like it. They're 2-2. They're starting to get their feet under them. 2 wins in a row. Mike Vrabel, decent coach, pretty good. Offense is limited. The defense has to play better. Henry had a Henry game. So I think this is another team that's probably going to be about 9 or 10 wins. I'm going to stick them at 18 for now. But, the Titans are an interesting team to watch from here on out. Number 17, I'm going to keep the Giants at 17. Not really that impressive. Daniel Jones was banged up. Tyrod Taylor had a concussion. I don't even know if they had a third quarterback or Daniel Jones came back in the game. They're going to London this week. They beat the Bears. The Bears are bad. The Bears kicked 4 field goals. So they did enough. Saquon Barkley's running the football. The defense is doing okay. I don't think this is a very good team. It's probably the worst 3-1 team. It's been a very beneficial schedule. But hey, 3-1 is 3-1. I'm going to keep them at 17 here. I'm not a big believer in the Giants. But you never know. The Giants could turn something out. Okay, number 16, the Cleveland Browns. Really bad loss for the Browns here. I'm going to drop them 5 spots, man. Can't lose to Atlanta. Atlanta's okay. Like I said, it's a team that's better than they thought they were. Marcus Mariota's the limiting factor. But man, Kevin Stefanski still continues to be the issue. Play calling situational. They blew a fourth quarter lead. They got back into field goal range with inside of 2 minutes, and then it all fell apart. They got out of field goal range. They turned the ball over. Just two terrible finishes from this Browns team. Easily could be 4-0, at least 3-1, but here they are, back to being the Browns, 2-2. They gotta stay afloat until Deshaun Watson. They're begging for a miracle. They need Deshaun to get back into it. All right, coming in at number 15, your San Francisco 49ers. Yes, up 6 spots from last week. Absolutely dominating performance from the Niners on Monday night at home against the Los Angeles Rams. They're cracking the top 15. The defense was superb. Held the Rams just to 9 points. McVay was completely lost. Stafford couldn't do anything. They couldn't block him. It was complete domination. And you know what? Jimmy G was a lot better than he was last week against Denver. Still not perfect. He's not the best quarterback in the world, but he makes some throws. He turns dust into magic. It's unbelievable. He gets a 60-yard touchdown out of nowhere. Deebo Samuel reemerges. One of the best runs you're going to see from a player, maybe ever. Just fantastic touchdown from him tonight. And then the Niners running game was really, really strong. Absolutely dominated from start to finish. Great win. The Niners are back, it feels like. Jimmy G gets back to his old self from last year. Another elite playoff team. Gonna crack into the top 10 easily, I think, in the coming weeks if they can play up to this standard. Coming in at number 14 this week, the team that just beat the Browns, the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, huge jump for the Falcons. They move up 5 spots all the way up to number 14 this week. Hey, man, what can I say? I think I said it last week. I think the Falcons are better than they thought they would be. They were trying to tank kind of with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, and tell you what, he is trying to lose them games. But man, this team is great at running the football. Now, Cordero Patterson is banged up, but it didn't seem to matter. The backups did their job. They secured a win against Cleveland, a Browns team that most people wouldn't have given them a shot against. But they've looked good, 2-2, without the total collapse week 1 against the Saints. 16 points given up in the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes of that fourth quarter. It was something ridiculous there. This team would be 3-1 and competitive in a loss to the Rams. They came back in that game. They had the ball with a chance to win the game. Mariota threw it away, but this is a really scrappy team you really don't want to face. They play pretty good defense. They run the ball well. They try and keep it away from you. Marcus Mariota is ultimately the Achilles heel for you, but I don't think they're an easy out any weekend. They will trip up any team possibly in this league, and they just got to learn how to finish games, and I think this weekend against the Browns really helped them out, because once you figure out how to win these close games, you get your confidence back, because we know Atlanta is beaten down by the choke jobs, all this history. I think this Falcon team is a little bit sneaky here. They could possibly find themselves in a wild card spot maybe. I don't know. It's a little early to tell, but I like them so far, so I got them in at number 14 this week. Okay, number 13 this week, we got the Los Angeles Chargers moving up 1 spot this week. They did what they needed to do in Houston. It got a little scary there. They jumped out to a huge lead, 21-7 or 27-7, something like that. It was a huge lead for the Chargers. They let it get all the way back to 24-7 in the second half, but they put them away. They went on a nice drive, got some points. They put away the Texans. Tell you what, man, Justin Herbert is fantastic. Now 7 straight road games with 300 or more passing yards, tied for the longest streak in the NFL. It's amazing what he can do. This kid is an absolute stud. And holy shit, they actually ran the ball this week. Austin Eckler, where have you been? 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground. A really strong performance from them. Mike Williams was great once again. And Gerald Everett got into the mix here. So I think this team's offense is really, really starting to click on all cylinders. The problem is the defense. The defense has not been good. They're down with Bosa. They let Houston come all the way back. It is a concern. They are pretty banged up. They need to get healthy. Hopefully the Chargers can stay afloat, because I still think this is a really good football team. But for now, I got them here at 13 because there's still a lot of question marks. The head coaching, the this, the that. But this has a team to make a big jump later in the season. It's all in front of them. They play in the AFC West. They can make some headway there. Okay, number 12 this week, your Jacksonville Jaguars. I got them sliding down a few spots here. it was just an okay week for the Jaguars. Now, they were at the Eagles, so I'm not going to punish them, and it was an absolute terrible weather game. But hey, both teams got to play in the weather, and it didn't help. Trevor Lawrence, 4 fumbles and an interception. Just way too many turnovers on the road. It seemed like he couldn't hold on to the football there in the rain. I don't know if he's got Kenny Pickett hands or something, but it was a problem. But the Jags as a whole looked good. They jumped out to an early 14-0 lead. Eagles clawed that back, but they stayed close. It ended up being 29-21. They had the ball, the Jags, with a chance to tie the game. This is a young team. They're really learning how to win games. I think they're a good football team. They play pretty good defense. The offense is going to be a lot better. It was just bad conditions against a very good defense. I think this is a good Jags team. They came back down to earth a little bit. Maybe I had them a little high, but still a pretty decent showing from the Jags all in all. So I like this team moving forward. They're definitely the best team in the AFC South. So 12 this week. Let's see what they go moving forward. But I like this team to win that division. All right, number 11, the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, played on Thursday night. Kind of an ugly game against the Dolphins. We all know what happened to Tua. Kind of took the air out of that game. It was just ugly, scrappy. But another good performance. Okay, Zach Taylor, not a good head coach. We can just kind of admit that. But the offensive line is getting better. They're not good still. They're still a bottom third offensive line. Joe Burrow and the offense, though, are overcompensating for that. They're making plays again. Burrow sliding up. He's making the throws. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Offensive weapons are just ridiculous for the Cincinnati team. The defense is doing a better job, too. They're keeping the scores low enough. I think this is a good team moving forward. They've had 2 nice wins in a row. Lost a close game to the Cowboys. I would really like them to win that Cowboys game. But again, the AFC North is wide open there. Everybody's 2-2 or worse, so they're right back in first place, right in the hunt of things. I think this is a good Bengals team. They're only going to get better as the season rolls along. So I got them all the way up here to number 11. They are dangerous. Watch out for them. Okay, number 10 this week, the Green Bay Packers. I don't have the Packers moving at all this week. They won their game against the Patriots. 3-1 now on the season after that bad loss to Minnesota. But man, this Patriots team they beat was not good. They had the third-string quarterback playing. Everybody was banged up. They had no real offense, it felt like. But they still were able to score points somehow. Rodgers threw a bad pick 6 at the end of the first half. Now, the offense is starting to get a little churning. It's really concerning, though, that the running game is done. The running game has been nowhere to be found. It feels like A.J. Dillon's not doing anything. Aaron Jones, okay, he was decent. I guess towards the end of that game, they started to run the ball better. Second half, the offense was better. But all in all, this Packers team has not impressed me yet. They haven't beaten any really good teams. They beat a super bad Buccaneers team without their entire offense. I mean, they're not beating that Buccaneers team if those receivers are playing. The only healthy team they played this year was Minnesota week 1 in Minnesota, and they got boat raced. So the Packers are really going to have to start showing me something. An overtime win at the absolute gun. Not an impressive win at home against a bad Patriots team with no quarterback at times. But I'm going to hold them at number 10. You got to prove me something. They got the Giants next week in London. That'll be a decent win. I still don't think the Giants are that good, though. So Packers schedule super favorable for them to start the season, and they're taking advantage of it because they needed it. Like I said, the offense was not good. A lot of new pieces. Rodgers doesn't really trust these receivers. It's Cobb, it's Lazard, and that's it. Those young guys seem to drop big balls in big spots. Rodgers not going to be happy about it. I am concerned about this offense moving forward. Okay, number 9, your Los Angeles Rams. Down 3 spots from last week. Honestly, a completely pathetic performance from the Rams on Monday night at San Francisco. They are just not good. Something is wrong with this team. They are not the team they were last year. Stafford is not as good. If everything's not perfect, Stafford's kind of a bum. The offensive line isn't great. He's under a lot of duress. He's making terrible decisions. He's staring down. He only looks at Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. It's really embarrassing. They spent all this money on Allen Robinson. Where is he? He can't get open, or Matt Stafford doesn't even look at him. Something is wrong with this team. His arm isn't good, and the Rams' pass defense is abysmal. They're towards the bottom of the league in pass defense. Jalen Ramsey is not an island. He's more like open season on his ass. You saw him taking out some frustration towards the end of that Monday night game. Just not a good performance for the Rams. I still have them at 9 here because they have shown some spots. but man, something is wrong with this team. They could really be in a free fall here. They gotta right this ship. I'm very, very concerned about this Ram team. Something is wrong. It's the offense is not dynamic. It's not good. Stafford's playing like Stafford in Detroit. A million turnovers late in the game. He has really been bad. This whole team has not been great, but they're still 2-2, right in the hunt in the NFC West. So it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward, but very, very concerning for the Rams as a whole. Okay, number 8, your Baltimore Ravens. I'm not really going to punish the Ravens here for losing to the Buffalo Bills because the Bills are a really good team, but it's how they lost to the Buffalo Bills. They were up 20-3. They gave up 20 unanswered to lose this game 23-20. They went for it on 4th and goal from the 3. Didn't get it. Lamar threw a pick. It was really bad. There was just 5 minutes left in the game. They could have took the lead. I think this thing is going to boil over. Harbaugh sent a clear message. He does not trust this defense, and it really, really showed. Marcus Peters took out some frustration. He had to be held back towards the end of the game because he left the defense out to dry. The defense had to hold him to just a field goal. You're not stopping Buffalo to just a field goal. If they kick that field goal, Baltimore, they just got to keep him out of the end zone. We play for overtime. We get the ball back into Lamar's hands. Lamar's still great, but the offense did absolutely nothing in the second half. The weather wasn't awesome. It was pretty rainy out there, but it is a bit concerning. This is 2 17-point leads this team has blown in the first 4 games. First team since the 2011 Minnesota Vikings. It's very, very worrisome. The Ravens are probably still a good team, really good on offense. Defense is abysmal in the secondary. They can't stop anybody. They really got to figure this thing out, because you just can't surrender 17-point leads in this league. Okay, number 7, your Dallas Cowboys. Yup, up 6 spots from last week. Fantastic showing now. I'm going to calm down a little bit here. They played the Commanders. I have the Commanders as the worst team in football, but they did what they needed to do. Hey, Cooper Rush, the only quarterback in Cowboys history to start 4-0 in his first 4 career starts. This team is humming. And guess what? CeeDee Lamb had his best game of the season because Michael Gallup back in the lineup drew some attention away. This offense was really good against the Commanders. This defense is absolutely elite. Micah Parsons is a terrorizer on that defensive line. The Commanders stood no shot. Really good defense. And Trayvon Diggs is all feast or famine. Some weeks he's feast, you cannot throw on him. He will pick you off. Some weeks it's famine, he will get toasted for 100 yards plus and a tutty. So if you catch him on a feast week, you're in real trouble against this team. If you catch him on a famine, you might be able to take advantage. But I really like this Cowboys team. I think there are some limitations with the offense and Cooper Rush, and I'm not sold on Dak. He was so bad in week 1. He has not been the same quarterback since his ankle injury 2 years ago. I am slightly concerned if Dak comes back in, takes the starting job, they do slightly regress, but the offense has an ultimate ceiling with Cooper Rush. Teams are going to start getting some tape, figuring out what he does and doesn't like to do, and they're going to start adjusting for that. But for right now, I think the Cowboys at number 7 is a really good spot. I think they're a very good team. They're at LA next weekend. They have a real opportunity to seize the moment and really make a statement that, hey, we're not a pushover. Stay right on the track of the Eagles. They're at 3-1. This is as good as the Cowboys could have expected to be. Far better than they expected to be after watching that opening game against the Buccaneers on Sunday night, week 1. But for right now, number 7, Cowboys, really interesting team. I think they can take a lot of steps forward or a lot of steps back here at number 7. Okay, number 6, my Minnesota Vikings. So this is really a circumstance of the teams in front of them played worse than they did and they lost some games. I got the Vikings at number 6. They won the game. It was kind of a struggle against the Saints in London, but it's in London. Those are weird games. They do come back with a win. They are 3-1, back-to-back comeback wins led by Kirk Cousins. The defense is the biggest issue with this team. They really can't stop anybody. They play a soft shell. They were playing Andy Dalton like he's Patrick Mahomes. You cannot win games in this. They do not cover the middle of the field. They allow way too many yards. They do a decent job stopping touchdowns. They've done a pretty good job not allowing scores in the fourth quarter, even though that kind of broke this week against the Saints. So that's the biggest concern for this team. The offense of the Vikings was very sloppy this weekend. 4 red zone trips that they did not capitalize on. They could have easily won this game by 4 touchdowns. They dominated this game. They needed a double doink to get the win. So they're lucky, but this offense will get this thing adjusted. I think there's some really easy adjustments for this offense to get it humming. It's going to be a team that's going to need to outscore some people, 30 points a game. Offense is going to get it figured out. Say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He's 3-1, back-to-back comeback wins. That's Kirk's got to do it. They still have Justin Jefferson, still a good offense. I'm not so concerned about the offense. They're going to get this thing figured out. Defense is a concern, but number 6 here, if they get this thing figured out offensively and the defense does manage to keep this up, they are going to be a team that could make a deep run. So I got the Vikings at number 6 here because honestly, everybody else in front of them didn't play so well. Okay, number 5. Yeah, I got Tampa back at number 5 this week. Like I said, not many teams in front of them played that well. And the teams behind them, I didn't really feel super strong about either. The Buccaneers are the Buccaneers. The defense, only 27 points given up on the year coming into this week and got absolutely torched by the Chiefs. Sometimes that happens. The Chiefs are a fantastic football team. It was a revenge game from the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So that happens, and it was a weird week for the Buccaneers. The hurricane, the practice, they had to go to Miami, they had to come back. It was just a weird week. They weren't home. I think they'll get this thing figured out on defense. And Tom Brady and the offense looked pretty good, honestly. They were chasing the lead all night, but Evans, Julio Jones, and Godwin back, they scored some points. So I think the offense will get this thing figured out. They do got to do a better job running the football to help control some clock and keep the defense off the field. But other than that, I'm not super worried about this team. They are 2-2, but the hardest schedule in the world, honestly, to start the season. So 2-2 is probably where you expected to be. They really should have won that game against Green Bay, but they were so beat up. The suspension on Evans really hurt them a lot. I'm going to keep the Buccaneers here at number 5. They could go down. They could also stay put. I don't think they're quite an elite team, but they're always a chance with Tom Brady. So number 5 feels really good here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, and another team staying put, number 4, your Miami Dolphins. Now, we all saw the game, short week. Tua Tagovailoa's injury is a bad one. It was a horrible scenes. He seems to be okay. He's going to be out this week with a concussion. They haven't ruled him out for the season or anything like that, so he could come back this year. This team was humming with Tua, but Teddy Bridgewater is more than a serviceable backup. We know what you're going to get from Teddy. He's nothing crazy, but hey, his arm isn't any worse than Tua's. He will check the ball down. He will tend to make good decisions. He will, sometimes just throw it up there for Tyreek. This is a really good offense. The defense needs to make some adjustments. They did lose on a short week at home to the Bengals, but there were so many circumstances going in. A devastating and frightening injury to your quarterback really sucks the wind out of your sails. So I'm not going to knock the Dolphins for that. I still think this is a good football team. But like I said, a lot of teams in front of them and behind them didn't do anything well. A lot of mediocre moves from teams towards the top of the league this week, just doing a serviceable job. So I'm not going to move Miami here. Keep them at 4, but it is a team to keep your eye on. They're higher than I thought they would be coming into this point of the season. And hopefully Teddy can keep them afloat because they could take a free fall until Tua comes back. Decent schedule. I know they got the Vikings in 2 weeks, so that'll be interesting to see if Tua's back for that game. But for now, I'm going to keep the Dolphins here at number 4. Okay, number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Bills dropping 1 spot here. It's not really what they did. It's a nice win at Baltimore, coming back from down 20-3. Really strong second half. The Ravens helped them out a little bit. Offense was kind of sluggish once again. Josh Allen is a freak of an athlete. He's fantastic running the football. He just make plays, man. But the offense seems a little disjointed. It is not nearly as good as it was the first 2 weeks. A couple of teams have figured out how to slow them down a bit. So bad first half, good second half. Nice win on the road against the Ravens. They're back on top in the AFC East. 3-1. It's the Bills. They're right where they probably should be. Good start to the season. I expect them to cruise comfortably from here on out, but they're not as good as they were when they opened up the season, and this next team really just blew the doors off of everybody. So this isn't really how they played. It's more of how the teams behind them played. So they're going to slide down to number 3 here. Still an elite team, one of the best in the AFC. I expect to see them competing for a chance at a Super Bowl come February. Okay, number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Bumping up a spot here. Man, absolutely impressive Sunday night what the Chiefs did. Now, I know Tampa Bay had a weird week with the hurricane and this and that, but they were still at home. This was still a defense that had given up just 27 points total on the season through the first 3 games, and they got absolutely boat raced by that Kansas City Chiefs offense. They scored 41. I feel like they could have scored 61. They pulled their foot off the gas a little bit. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't think anybody can argue that now, and if they do, they're stupid, okay? The kid is an absolute stud. He makes plays with his legs. He creates space. He can throw it from this, that, and the other, every single arm angle, and they're really starting to get a running game going. They actually ran the ball really well against that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Pacheco, the young rookie running back, looks like he could be a real nice add with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Decent pieces around. The wide receiver role player guys are playing better. Travis Kelce's obviously a stud. The defense was pretty good through the first half. Gave up some points there. Tampa Bay kept keeping them around. So defense, a little bit not as good as it had been through the first 3 weeks. But I think they righted the ship. It's sometimes you just have a dud in the NFL. They had a dud against the Colts. The Chiefs are my favorite out of the AFC right now. Absolutely dominant. I can't put them over our number 1 team just because they do have that loss, but this team is absolutely frightening. If you're a Chiefs fan, I know you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves, but this looks like a team that is going to be a real problem in the AFC for everybody else and most teams in the entire NFL to deal with. All right, and coming in at number 1 back-to-back weeks, yes, your Philadelphia Eagles, number 1 once again. Only undefeated team in the NFL, 4-0, and they got quality wins, man, here. You know, beat the Lions. I know the Lions are 1-3, but that's the number 1 offense in football. The Lions have the best offense in football somehow. You know, boat race the Vikings, another good team. Dominated week 3 against the Commanders, a bad team, and looked pretty good against the Jags. They were down 14-0, and the conditions in that game were not, you know, great for offensive comebacks, and the offense looked good, man. They clawed it back. 29-21 victory at home. I like this team a lot. The offense was slowed down because of the weather. Jalen Hurts has really taken a great step up. He's fantastic running the football. He makes great reads. His receivers doing a pretty good job. They get open. They were a little droppy in that weather, but they catch the ball most times. Miles Sanders, a career day. This team runs the football as good as anybody, and when they can do RPO, run-pass option, it's a real problem for opposing defenses. And speaking of defenses, their defense is just a solid unit. When you're great in both trenches, offensive line and defensive line, you are going to be real hard to beat, and the Eagles are great in both. The defense does a really good job. Only 14 points from the Jags offense. One of those touchdowns for the 21 was a pick 6. So the defense only gave up 14 points and really 7 points. They scored kind of a later touchdown with Christian Kirk. So this team's defense was pretty dominant. 5 turnovers against the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. Absolutely fantastic. So I can't knock them down for number 1. As sexy and as good as the Chiefs looked on Sunday night, I gotta keep it with the Eagles number 1 here. They're the top dogs for now. We'll see moving forward. It should be a lot of fun heading into week number 5. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who was I too high on? Who was I too low on? Am I sleeping a little bit too much on the Cowboys? Am I a little high on the Buccaneers and Dolphins? I don't know, man. It's really awkward. Those 11 to 14 teams, it's really tough here. It's getting great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Daily videos, Sports Stat Fact of the Day shorts every single day, more content, live streams, Monday Night Football every week. Like this video, it really helps the channel out a lot. We're growing like crazy. Again, we will be back next Tuesday for week number 6 of Pete's Power Rankings, and we will see you all then.